Testing 1, 2, 3. Who's your daddy? Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm your daddy. God damn it.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. And the truth shall set you free.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me for another episode of Face the Truth, the Patreon edition. If you haven't seen it, check out the YouTube version, the first part of our talk. You're gonna love it. It's amazing.
Once you before bed, you'll go right to sleep.
But I'm excited about this because Ed's going to show some of his work. He is an awesome illustrator, children's books, Mad Magazine, much more. And we're going to get into it. So everyone, please welcome the one and only Ed Steckley.
Oh, please sit down. Please, when's the time?
Nintendo.
Nice.
So I'm gonna share. My microphone's being all weird.
Okay. Do you want me to do a screen share?
Yeah, I think I have to set it here for you.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
so
have to make it
I think you
okay.
should be able to now.
Got it.
Um,
Screen share.
there, my microphone.
One. Okay. Should I go now?
Yeah, I think you. So let's. Yeah, perfect. Awesome.
There we go. So this is just Photoshop.
You didn't paint that?
Yeah, isn't that great?
It looks so real.
Yeah, it's my style. So I have a lot of different stuff I'm doing here. So I have like books. I have just like, I'll go to I have a folder called Fun Art. I just compiled a lot of stuff for another interview I did a few days ago.
Oh,
but
cool.
I have a lot of caricature stuff. So let's just put that. So I will drag. There we go. This is a fun one.
Nice.
This is for the National Cartoonist Society. I'm the vice president of that organization, and every year they have the Reuben Awards, which is the awards for cartooning. This year I got to do the official art for the Reubens, which is cool. These are all the people that were nominated for the big Cartoonist of the Year award. Keith Knight, in the upper left, Hillary Price, in the upper right, Edward Sorrell, one of my heroes, in the middle on the left. On the left is, on the right is, I'm blanking on the name, but he does Zippy the Pinhead.
Oh, okay.
The lower left is my good friend Mark Tutuli, who they were all nominated for. What they're climbing up is the Reuben Award. I'm going to grab my pen, put my nerdy spectacles on, move my inkwell. Everybody loves a good vintage inkwell.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and all my stuff is always out here. I just tidied up, but my version of tidy is different than everybody else's. I have everything I need right here, and when I move things around, it gets interesting.
I was just looking at your recent Mad cover. I think it's pretty recent one with a Super Dog.
Really in the year, yeah.
So
Crypto, the Super Dog.
So you're inking everything,
Yeah.
scanning it in, and then you color digitally. That's
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I also saw that Weird Al piece you did is so awesome.
Thanks.
It looks like
That was a
watercolor.
thrill to do. That wasn't watercolor. That was everything.
No, I'm saying it looks like it. That's
Oh,
yeah.
that was the goal. Thank you.
Yeah,
That
it
was
looks
fun
good.
because I'm a Weird Al fan. I'm a huge fan of Al Jaffe. I got to know Al very well when I was out in New York, and he gave me a lot of good advice. And I adore Al. So to be able to do that Weird Al thing was really cool. I think I have that here, so I could show it off. But this one here was fun because this guy in the middle on the left, Edward Sorrell. I'm just a huge fan of his. He's just one of the classic editorial and caricature illustrators. He's just amazing, and I got to know him fairly well also while I was out in New York, and he's everything you want him to be. He's what I've learned about a lot of these humorous illustrators is that they generally, first of all, it's a very welcoming group. It's a very gracious group who don't have, the ones who are really worth their salt tend to not have the big egos. And Ed Sorrell, he's fantastic. He's persnickety and he's a little, he's a character, but he's happy to talk about art, and he's happy to talk. All the people that work in this field tend to be very they just want to talk shop. It's like me and you or anybody else. I want to know what you're drawing with. I want to know what other people are drawing with. I will absolutely talk about my I moved over to the Gelatin in 1950 about a year and a half ago, and I just love it, and I will absolutely talk about it way too much.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And you're doing it on like a Strathmore or like an illustration
Strathmore. I used to use Strathmore. Depending on if it's watercolor or if it's just inks, I'll use two or three ply. I used to use 500 series. Now I moved to 400 series because I can't tell the difference. So yeah, that's that. I just buy it by the sheet. When I moved to Wisconsin, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get it here because during COVID I had to order it.
Oh, okay.
Which was a nightmare. Buying paper online is just, I gotta look at each sheet, make sure it works, make sure there's no flaws in it. And of course, the first big order I did of like 20 sheets of the Strathmore 400 series, there was clearly the entire stack had it got fluffed around right. There was a little crease right in the middle of every single one of them. So I called, I don't know who it was through, Dick Blick or something. I said, hey, these are kind of unusable because what I was doing was really big pieces, so I couldn't just cut around it.
Oh, man.
They sent me, they said, just keep those. And with our apologies, and here's one, we're going to have someone go and inspect each one. So that worked out. But the next time I had to order, it was the same thing. So I have to go to the art store and go, buy my paper, and it's a ritual. But just before I left New York, I went and did that. I went over to Brooklyn. I went to Blick or something, and I just bought out all their Strathmore 400 2 and 3 ply. And it turns out I can get it here. There's a Utrecht or something in Milwaukee, so I can get it here. But I'm stocked up. So that's what this is. I work about this is about twice up what the print was. Yeah, it's nerdy technical stuff, but I just got a kick out of doing this because I get to draw. I'm good friends with Hillary. I'm good friends with Mark Tutuli. Ed Sorrell is a genius, and Keith Knight. I just recently got to talk to him a bit online. Just a really nice, sweet guy. I love doing things like this.
Yeah,
they don't
That's great.
pay. So there's that. I'll show you another caricature. If you want to focus on the caricature stuff, that's fine.
Anything you want, man. Whatever you want to share.
All right. Here's this. Oops. I don't want to paste this into the drawing. Hang on. F. Oh, Photoshop. I can delete that. I'm going to do these full screen, but I don't want them to go into this. If I drag it elsewhere. Okay. Yeah, it's actually technical difficulties. So I just won't do full screen. There we go. So I'm going to drag this. This is one that was a big thrill. I got to do this. This is a magazine. Their annual hits magazine. It's a magazine for the music industry.
Okay.
These are 6 people you've never heard of, but they're big muckety mucks in that world, and they're featured on the cover. Hits has been doing these annuals for like 36 years. They're usually done by my good pal and mentor Sam Viviano.
Oh yeah.
Sam, like I said earlier in the podcast, Sam in a conflict. So this is a big one. So I got to make sure that if they call next year, I refer them back to Sam. But they always have a Mad theme. They're not related to Mad. They have nothing to do with Mad. They just, the guys who are in the art department, they just think they kind of think of themselves as like kind of an outsider, like a Mad kind of mentality. So they always have Alfred on the cover. But it's like, well, okay, I'm happy to draw Alfred. So this is the Stranger Things takeoff. But all these people are just,
and they can legally do that.
They have to get permission every year. They have to go through the proper channels to get permission to use Alfred. And this year it came down to the wire because they couldn't get an answer. There's been a changing of the guard at DC Comics, so it was a little bit precarious for a while. So I didn't ink Alfred's face until the 11th hour. I think I might have started coloring it before I even inked his face. But it's always cool to draw Alfred.
Yeah. I love it, man.
Thanks. Let's see what else. I just have, if you want to focus on anything, man, I can absolutely just switch gears. Another thing that I have in here is just a bunch of sketchbook caricatures. I'm not a big fan of showing off sketchbook stuff because sketchbooks are kind of personal.
Yeah,
but
that's nice.
I came across these, during quarantine. I got really good at like doing warming up with faces in the morning. Tom Richmond, he kind of started this daily caricature thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think I did a couple of those.
Yeah, like I'll play along. So he would dictate who the subject's going to be, like at the night before. In the morning, I would just get up. I used it as a great warm up. It's something I don't do enough of. I wish I would do more.
I know, man. It's hard.
It is.
It's difficult, but
like I don't sit and draw for fun much at all. I love drawing. It's my favorite thing to do, but I don't sit with a sketchbook. I know people that carry a little sketchbook around with them all the time when the mood strikes. I was never that guy.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I was, but you know what? Screw it. If I'm when a job is done, I just kind of want to go do something else, play video games or something.
Yeah.
I'm trying to open up this one more. I have a few of these. I think
that's great.
I can't know where. Open with Photoshop.
I really like. It's interesting. We were talking about this before, but like I can, as soon as I see it, I'm like, that's Ed Steckley. Like you have like, there's like an aesthetic that's just right away. I can tell. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly.
I don't see it, so I think that's funny. A lot of people who are young, they worry about style. How did you get your style?
Yeah, just draw.
And you learn. you don't find your style. Your style finds you.
Exactly.
The funny thing is, I don't really see it, but then again, I can recognize a drawing of mine that I've absolutely forgotten about, and generally I can go, I think I did that.
Yeah,
but who knows? So these are just these fun. I'm not sure if these are shown up big enough on your screen.
No, I see them. That's great.
This is Aquafina.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Her parents must have really loved bottled water.
Yeah, that's funny. Whoopee. Oh, that's great.
I like this Whoopi.
Such the fun structure there.
Thanks. That's I was picturing John Cash's caricature of Maya Angelou.
Oh, yeah.
Can you picture that one?
I think so.
It's a classic, just John Cash, but her head is really it's a 3/4 like this, and her head.
Oh, I think I know which one.
All these braids, and I absolutely had that in my mind. And
he's so great, man. I love his work so much.
This is a fun one. This is on the right here is Bill Morrison.
Yeah. Okay.
Was the art director executive editor of Mad for a bit, and Bill and this guy on the left are in business together, and they had me do this drawing of them. So that's cool. As I'm a good friend of Bill, he's great. He worked at the Simpsons, Bongo Comics. He created a lot of the Futurama characters.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna go to Mad for a little bit. So here's the one that you were talking about. And Jason, if you want to go elsewhere with this, or if this is too boring, you got to say something.
No, this is awesome, man. I love it.
I'm not always a fan of looking at my artwork, but I did have to create this folder of stuff that I'm going to have to look at again. So This is that Al Jaffe Weird Al thing that we were talking about. I got to draw, Al's one of my heroes.
Yeah.
And even if he wasn't, even if he did something else, if he was an accountant and I got to meet him, he would still be one of my heroes because he's exactly the kind of artist, I guess, that I want to be. I'm not talking about his art. I'm talking about his attitude towards art. This is a guy who has it so well put together. I've said a million times, about clients, like, I work for you, you don't work for me, which says so much. There's a lot of artists who have an attitude about their work, like, you don't understand my style. Al Jaffe is one of the most prolific cartoonists ever, and he is very much aware that I don't know if I'm going to get another job from these guys. He only retired like 3 or 4 years ago. For people that don't know, he's the guy that did among other things, many other things. He did the fold-in in the back of Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
But he's 101 now, and he's just an inspiration. I just love him. And I've always loved Weird Al. Who doesn't love Weird Al? So the assignment was for this, the 70th anniversary issue of Mad. They had some people write articles about, what their thoughts on Mad and what it meant to them. And Weird Al was one of them. And it's talking about the first time he ever laughed out loud at anything in print. And it was this Al Jaffe cartoon, this throwaway gag in the middle of a 4-pager, something like that. That is the Menace gag.
That is really
if you look
funny.
at this, he studied Dennis the Menace, because look at the line. It looks like it was drawn by, was it Ketchum? It looks like it was drawn by him.
Yeah.
But it's just this macabre gag. So, but this is a great example of, or great to me anyway, of the Mad Magazine chicken fat mentality.
Yeah.
We all know that the gags in the background.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of the Beatles bugs, but this kid has an F Troop poster up in his room and a Perry Como poster, and it's just
it's cool. It's also cool seeing how you de-aged him.
I had photos.
Okay. I was gonna say it looks like him.
Thanks. I had photos of him when he was a kid, and he looked like that, but he has these cool photos of him with an accordion.
Yeah.
That accordion thing is not a gag.
I know.
He's been playing the accordion since he was a kid.
So funny.
That was fun. That was just a thrill to do. Other Mad stuff here. What's fun? You talked about how cool it is to draw Alfred.
Yeah, I love it.
I've drawn him a number of times, and I've had to do him with different expressions, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that is.
For some reason I get this surprised expression here, and it's like, I don't know. There was a Norman Mingo cover in the 80s. It was a back cover, and it was a take on the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant that recently had a meltdown, and it was a close up of Alfred, but his hair was kind of starting to curl up on the ends, and he had big eyes and sweat beads, and it was really weird because Alfred's face doesn't really change. But I've had to draw that expression. I just call up that magazine and I go, "Oh, that's how you do it," because I'm not going to do anything better than Norman Mingo.
Well, that's the hard thing too. Like the first cover that I did, I did that. They wanted a close up with his mouth wide open, and you've never seen him like that before. So I had to somehow make it up, but still look like him. And
but the thing is, the thing about Alfred, I wish Norman Mingo would have talked about it more, because how did he come up with that face? Because it's not a human face. Norman Mingo was a master painter. I mean, he was an advertising guy. He could. He had the advertising mentality. He knew how to paint a face, but Alfred's face isn't human. I mean,
his eyes are not the right level, and
I mean, the head is on a different axis than the face. I mean, all this. Look at Alfred backwards, and you'll see how weird it actually is. Yeah, he doesn't have a profile. Doesn't make any sense. And he has those chiclet teeth. I'm like, what was the thinking? But everybody involved with the creation of that character is no longer around.
Well, when the recent ones that I did, they wanted me to try to give it like a vintage feel, and I tried. I had Norman Mingo's that famous cover that he did, and I basically just tried to paint it as close to that as possible. I even copied some of the brush strokes. Like
Yeah.
that it looked.
It's a very intricate painting. There's like
Oh, yeah.
weird highlights on the edge of his jaw. There's like these flashes of blue. And it's just like, God, I've sat and I stared. I've got a lot of vintage Mads framed up around the house. And one is in the bathroom here. I have a bathroom in my studio. And it's just one of them's right there. So I sit, every time I go in there, I just sit and I look at it. And I look for the paint strokes, and I look for the flaws because it's a later one where it looks like a study. It's actually it looks unfinished, but whatever. I just love to look at it. Here's an example of throwing my friends into articles. I love doing this trademark graffiti thing. First of all, the dumpster full of stuff that's funny, like a tentacle. Here's an intestine from the outback. But these two on the left here, that's Jason and Sophie Chatfield, two dear friends.
Oh yeah, I love Jason. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got to draw them in there. This guy on the right is Tom Richmond.
Yeah,
he's the cook walking the stuff out.
That's hilarious.
The dead body legs with the shoe with the hole in it. That's just straight out of Jack Davis.
Yeah,
but,
that's awesome.
I love doing that. The other ones, if they're too unflattering, like this guy, I won't use a friend. I don't want to. But down at the bottom here, you recognize these two.
Oh yeah, Sam
and Diane.
That's amazing, man.
Viviano.
Yeah.
But this guy here is nobody. Although this was my cat on the couch here.
That's funny.
And this little roach, he was also at my house at one point.
Yeah.
See if any other mad stuff. I'm trying to make sure that your viewers stay awake.
No, it's cool. This is what this is about.
Miserably.
Oh, this is great, man.
This is a fun one.
I don't think I've seen this one before.
Yeah, this is a 2-pager in Mad. I've had to. You said about Trump earlier.
Oh wait, no, I have seen this one. Yeah,
I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I love this, man.
This one got a lot of traction, actually. I've had to draw Mitch McConnell more times than I'm comfortable with.
It's so
fun. I don't even have to look at him anymore. I just know his face.
Yeah.
I'm not even getting political.
He's so much fun to draw.
So weird looking. And his little black heart in here.
Yeah.
This was a great gag. I didn't do any of the design. I just did, the figures.
Yeah. That's great.
What was her name? I don't remember this girl's name anymore.
I don't remember, but that is so spot on.
Huckabee, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah, that is so spot on.
This was kind of a dream come true. Like, oh man,
this is the kind of Mad that I love. This kind of stuff, man.
I love doing it. I had a lot of fun.
It's comedy, it's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's also it's an editorial statement on. It's a comment on the characters, but they're making the comment. I'm just doing the drawings, and they said, let her rip.
Yeah. That's so much fun, man.
Yeah. Oops. Too close. This one here was flipped. This AOC, they flipped it. It's always a nightmare.
Yeah.
I agree. It works better this way, but like, oh no.
It is kind of
all your errors when something is backwards. That's when you see all of the boo-boos. And there's plenty in there, and I'm just not going to show anybody.
Yeah.
And here's the last Mad one, I think. They found out that I was doing all these Rube Goldberg books, so they had a gag coming up for the Mad 20 a couple years ago about that was involving the game Mousetrap, which is a Rube Goldberg machine. So it was a takeoff on Mousetrap. There's Mitch McConnell again.
Okay.
Here's Trump. It was right after that I Love Hispanics thing that he got. That everybody was like, what? Yeah. But I like this baby a lot.
Yeah.
It's all about, all this political crap going on, but this baby is lost and, scared. I really like how this turned out. It's not often that I look at a drawing I did and go, yeah, nicely done.
Yeah.
There's always something you could do better, but this I think is I just think it's very successful. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. I know exactly and there's most things that I do, like I love it when I'm like, oh, I think this is great. And then the next time I see it, I'm like, I just see all the problems.
What was I thinking? Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I have the SNL stuff, and I have
I'll see some of that. Yeah. It's one of those things too, like I'm sure you can relate to this, is like when a lot of these deadlines are crazy fast and you're just doing your best and you feel proud of it, but then there's so many things that Like there's so many times where I'm like, I wish if I had more time, I would have done this or
Yeah. Or I wish I could start over.
yeah, but you
I
just
think
gotta
that a lot.
go.
Here's
This is
that
funny.
SNL thing. This is I like this. The things that I like about this, and I should be talking about process. I'm not a big fan of looking at my artwork. I don't have any of my artwork hanging up,
Yeah.
except for I have a poster over there that I did for a fundraiser, and it has my friends in it. And they've all signed it, so I have that up. But this one, it was supposed to look like a courtroom sketch.
Mm-hmm.
So it was supposed to have that kind of feel. You know, it went through a lot of changes. But what I like about this is the background people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I got to see stills of these three in the stands and with different outfits. So I had to change the outfits, but I drew the extras in the skit.
Hmm.
And I was just kind of proud of that. I thought they might get a kick out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but when it aired, it was a different group of extras, you know, because they got me photos from the dress rehearsal.
Oh, I
Like,
see.
oh man, whatever. Except this one. The one back here is me. So it was Amy Schumer, and this
I love that hand too. The hands are great, but I love that middle hand. It's so awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of drawing hands. You can see my influences when you look at the hands I draw. And I'll just leave it at that. But the cars thing, oopsie. This was one I got to do. I think I don't know when this was last year.
I remember seeing this one too.
That's hilarious. To do it was the gag was when this guy, his name is Matt Gates, I think he's just the sleazy politician.
Yeah.
But the gag on Weekend Update was that he looks like a Times Square caricature of me. That was Colin's line. So I had to do this mashup caricature. Oops, I don't know what I just did, of Colin Jost and Matt Getz.
Yeah.
Which, when it comes down to it, it's a caricature that doesn't look like either of them. And I was like,
it's a funny bit though.
Yeah, it's a funny bit, but you really kind of have to swallow your pride, especially with caricature.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, Colin. This one wasn't as successful because, frankly, it doesn't look like a Times Square caricature. You know, it should have. I should have used the different lines. I'm not sure I don't remember the art direction. Maybe they had me do something, but you're not going to get this kind of body in a quick sketch hack, you know, on the street caricature. No. So I don't know what happened. So I don't think it's as successful as it could have been. Although writing the name on the side of a caricature, one of my biggest pet peeves. That was my way of making one of those characters. This one I actually did sign. I have my little ES in the corner. I don't know why. I think I just felt ballsy that day. And that's when I started getting calls. So I'll just show a few of these Cars things. You know what? I'm just going to bring this over here. So we had to do this Cars bit. And it was a really funny skit about they're selling the idea of Cars 3 or 4, whatever, to Owen Wilson. And it's him in a recording studio, and he's reading this ridiculous script, which is un-PC and dirty and stuff. But behind him was this TV monitor that would show these storyboards, you know, and they had to look really sketchy and quick.
That's funny. I remember seeing that. But I didn't realize that was you. That's awesome.
Yeah. So he's macking on young high school cars, you know, maybe, and Mater. So I had to really become familiar with these characters, even though it was a one-off gag. I just had to become familiar with the characters to draw them. So I had to sit and do a lot of studies of these guys so that I could do these quick sketch caricature or drawings and still make it feel like the show. Never mind the fact that I forgot to color in the eyeballs and Lightning McQueen here. You know, that was probably at 4 a.m.
My gosh.
That's my sister. It's hard to look at these because they're so sketchy, you know, but they were just little tiny.
It's almost like storyboard.
Yeah, that's exactly the gag. They're supposed to look like quick storyboards.
Yeah.
Good, because there was a lot of these and I had to do them quick. So they couldn't be, you know, rendered nicely. So that was a fun one. But the other stuff, I don't know. This is a bit maybe too inside baseball, but the books I'm doing now is something like we talked earlier about being able to spot open doors as a commercial artist. You know, I just kind of, I didn't, a couple of years ago, I would not have seen myself doing children's books. And now that's,
Oh, shoot.
that's about half of my work is these books. So this is the new Rube Goldberg. Where's my name?
Sorry. Just to let you know, it says that we only have 10 minutes. Okay.
You know what? I'm just going to show a few of the ones that I'm proud of this series.
Okay.
Because I really got to dive into these and, you know, do some cool stuff.
Wow, this is awesome.
This is a 2-page spread in the middle reader book. Every now and then I'll show this to some artist and they'll get the reference because this is an homage. But this is the inside of Professor Butts's living room, and he's a Rube machine builder, and it's a great story actually. But really, I just had to draw his living room.
Yeah, this is great.
Thanks.
I love
I was like, where am I going to go? So, do you remember the Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein?
I think so. Yeah.
Bernie Wrightson illustrated Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It came out in the early 80s, I think, and it's a very it's probably the most iconic Frankenstein outside of Boris Karloff, and it's just a brilliant illustrations to this book that I happened to be reading at the time. And there's a famous cover is the monster holding up Dr. Frankenstein off to one side of the image, and the rest is just his laboratory, and it's full. It is, I mean, it's breathtaking how first of all how gorgeous it is,
yeah,
and the stuff he threw in. So I use that. This is the interior of that scene is basically this. I'm no Bernie Wrightson, but I am a fan. But in case anybody did catch it and they didn't, oh, you ripped off Bernie. I do have a little Easter egg here on this typewriter. First of all, it has the first line of the Frankenstein novel, and MWSBW, Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley and Bernie Wrightson, and buy milk. just to keep any just so there's no question, this is an homage. But I do that a lot in books now. I'll do a drawing and it will be a direct, call it a ripoff, call it an homage. To me, it's an homage. Like,
yeah,
here's one to get a lot of mileage out of. You recognize this? You recognize this?
The style, or
no,
what's? I'm not sure.
Layout. The image. This is an homage to Rockwell. The Four Freedoms.
Oh yeah,
freedom of
okay.
speech, freedom of religion.
Yeah.
And this is the freedom of speech. It's a very famous. It's in the same series as the famous Thanksgiving dinner one. Freedom from want. And this one is a town hall meeting, and people are allowed to speak their mind at the town hall. But this is the introduction of this one of the main characters, Pearl. And she's a great character in the book, and this is her introduction. And I figured she has to really make an impact for this is the first time kids are meeting her. And so I figured, what better way to do it than to harken back to one of the old masters. So that's exactly what this is. So like all the people around her are kind of loosely based on the people in that painting.
That's so awesome.
Maybe. And then there, I'm a big Charles Addams fan, so here's the inside of or the outside of that house with the living room.
That's
and then
so
there's
cool, man.
a lot of Rube Goldberg things. So I do a lot of drawings of Rube Goldberg machines. These are all pen and ink, dip pen, gelatin 1950, and I make my own mixture. I don't make my own, but I mix a couple of inks together. I like just to get the right color.
It's almost like a slight brown in there.
Yeah, it's like a really dark, warm sepia. So when you taper off a line with your brush, it kind of ends in almost a pink at the very end.
Oh, interesting. It looks really cool.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah. So these there's one more thing I'm going to show because now I'm into it. But I do these picture books in the same world. It's Rube Goldberg. Anybody who's watching this who knows me, they know about all this. But this Rube, I do two different series in the Rube Goldberg world. So these are ones that are all hand drawn, hand painted. They're designed on the computer. I do all the sketches, and once those are approved, transfer them over to on a wide format printer, put them behind that Strathmore 400 series on a light table, which is right in front of me here, and I ink that way.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But these, let's see, what's one I like?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Man,
so these are all
these are all like ink with watercolor. That's cool.
Yeah. This is how he gets, each 2-page spread is a machine. It's how he gets through his day. There's 2 of them now, and hopefully we'll start the 3rd one soon. But like, this is his alarm clock. But like, I get to throw in a lot of gags in here that are just for me. Like, over here on the far right by the door, it's an album cover, one of my favorite records. No one will ever get. You just get to throw some funny stuff in here. These are. I did this I started this right after Christmas in 2019. So the majority of this book was done during COVID and quarantine, which made my quarantine not so bad. Yeah. But and I get to like all these gags. There's underneath.
I love the style of this. It's so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah,
this is awesome, one where I finally gotten to a point where I don't think about that. I just simply draw it. I just only recently, since I've gotten old, have gotten to a point where I'm comfortable. Like, I know, I have to tell myself, I know what I'm doing. So I don't.
Isn't that funny though? It's funny how I'm the same way. Like I still feel like I have so much to learn. It doesn't matter how many things I do. I'm like,
get me started. This one's great because this donut, he gets to pick his own donut. But there's a lot of like jokes in here, like the donuts on the background here. I'm sorry, these aren't all watercolor. A lot of them are Dr. Martin's dyes. I forgot to say that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I usually do the backgrounds with like Winsor Newton 2 watercolors, and the stuff that has to pop on the front is generally Dr. Martin's dyes. And that's why these donuts are a little bit too bright. I wish I could redo that. But in my hometown here, they're known for their kringle. So they're selling kringles in this thing.
That's funny.
Danish pastry. So I love doing those. The interiors to the chapter books. I'm on the 3rd chapter book now. I love doing these because I just get to sit and I have a drying rack that's usually right up over here. When I'm not using it, I put it away because it's huge. But there's nothing like looking at a drying rack that's been holding a book because it gets full, and it's just such a gratifying thing. I like to walk in here and look at that, and it's just a sense of accomplishment just from seeing the drying rack. But it's a big bulky thing that is right now. It's literally in my dining room because I never use my dining room. It'll be out here in about a week because I'm just about to start inking the 3rd book.
It reminds me of when you were in New York, did you ever visit Fred Harper's place?
Of course.
Yeah, I would stay there all the time, and I love. He just recently moved to a different apartment, but
I know I hate to hear that because man, that apartment.
It was the new place is amazing.
Oh yeah.
They gutted it and they redid it how they wanted it, and it looks just like the perfect artist pad. It's amazing. But that's what I love about his place.
Artist pad before.
Yeah, but now it's even more. Like they did like tin ceilings, tile ceilings, and all this. It looks really cool.
Oh, good. I'm glad because I meant to reach out. Last time I saw him was they had a going away thing for me in New York, and I actually haven't talked to him. Fred's such a great guy.
I love him. Yeah,
that apartment that he and Molly had, there was an oil painting station.
Oh yeah,
there was a station.
That's what I'm saying. The whole place was like an art. Yeah, it was amazing, dude.
In the middle of it all, a bed.
Yeah,
like oh my god, this is what feng shui is all about. I get it now.
By the way, we only have 1 minute left, so I want to make sure I wrap this up properly this time. So I just want to say thank you so much for doing this, man. It was so cool to talk shop, catch up, and see your work. Love looking at your work, and for anyone following this, make sure you check out Ed Steckley Art on Instagram.
Ed Steckley Illustrator.
Ed Steckley Illustrator, and you have a website. I'm assuming I'll put it all on the links.
edsteckley.com. Super clever.
I'll put it all on. I'll put the links here, but I just wanted to say, everyone, thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jason.